Greetings, Metanthropes, and whoa, where is Oliver?
What's happened to me?
No, this is not the start that I expected. Greetings, Metanthropes. I'm your host and editor, John, and as I am fixing this problem, and you can see our guest pretty soon. Oh no. Oh yeah, I had another screen in front. So there he is. Greetings, Metanthropes. I'm your host and narrator, John, and you are joining us for the very first testimonial episode of the Legitcast. We are joined by RxOliver, a veteran of TTRPGs, streaming and running a TTRPG-based community. And we're going to discuss, he's a veteran of 10 sessions plus, like 15 now or so, but 10 sessions of anthologies. He has played the full anthology saga, and let me double check that everything's all right. If you can't hear, so if you have any problem, do throw it on chat. And yeah, we're excited to talk about Metanthropes Anthologies. There are a couple more coming up. But before we begin, yeah, Metanthropes Anthologies is live now on Kickstarter. It's part of ZineQuest 2025, so make sure to check it out. This is the project that we will be talking about today. So, Oliver, since you have all that extensive experience and you have played many systems and many worlds, what was that drew you to Metanthropes? And you said yes when I asked you to run this 10-page thingy.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, John. It's good to see you again. So, as you know, I play all the RPGs. I play everything that I want to try them all. It's my mission in life is to try all the RPGs. But Metanthropes it was just very unique. I've played a couple of superhero games, but the D100 system I love, the mechanics of the game I love. So I'm always sold on the mechanics of a game as well as the setting, the genre, the style. So the setting, the genre, and the style is really cool. I love that it's the real world, but with alternative timelines. There's so much you could do with that. And I just love the fact that it's not supers, it's normal people with superpowers. It's great to roleplay. It's easy to pretend to be a normal person. That comes quite easily. You know, role-playing a superhero, maybe not so much, but role-playing a real person is really easy to do. So I had a great time role-playing my character. I had a great character concept. And it just felt right for me, Metanthropes. It was the right game for me and my group at the time, and it was really excellent. It was 10 out of 10. I'm very happy.
I really appreciate those kind words, and we're gonna get to Diego del Toro and the story and everything pretty soon. But as we can see on our screen, here we see the 3 covers for the Metanthropes Anthology series. Also, there is an early bird. I think there is couple of hours or maybe a few minutes left. But I would like to talk about the following with you. Much like myself, when we started this saga, like back in the summer of 2024, we had like no visual cues. Oh, increase a little bit Oliver's voice. Sorry for that. I'm gonna fix it. So we had like little to none visual cues about how Metanthropes did look. Not just the important NPCs, but basically any NPC, any Metanthrope, any visuals to accommodate our imagination. And now that the Kickstarter is live and we have a few visuals, and more than a few 3D visuals, we have 2D, we have the covers, we have in character art from AJ, from all those cool stuff. I would like to ask you how it's like now to see it having like a vision, like a presence.
It's great. It's like watching it grow like your child or your pet. It's like seeing it from the very start, because I've been with you from the start on this one. Just seeing it grow and get an appearance and get visuals and get, you know, the characters and putting an actual face on these characters that have already got their personality. It was really cool. I really loved the way they developed. I especially liked what you did with Sam Sale, and the art for Sam Sale was very cool. Very cool. All the art's amazing. Your the trailers are super good.
I'm very proud about the trailer, but I'm super excited about those covers and the work of Wormungray, who is a returning artist from and now it's taking it to the next level, really, as this campaign really is. And Okay, let's talk, since you mentioned Samsil, let's talk about our three concert masters, our three main NPCs of this story. We have from the enigmatic concert master Akkadi, the magistrate and his dark wisdom, to the passionate and seductive and elusive Oneros from the astral, Zine, and last but not least, we have the personification of power, the paragon of Metanthropes, Samsiel. Which one was your favorite, dealing with, fighting or role playing or, whatever, having fun with?
I think it was Sam Sale. I think just because that whole timeline and world, the whole space thing was cool. Just really, it was some space in your sci-fi games. It's superheroes. It is science fiction, and science fiction isn't science fiction without a little bit of space. It was really nice to get in space and play in space. That whole thing, the whole cosmic element. I love my cosmic horror, so that whole cosmic element is just fun for me. I really like that episode. That was great fun, that one.
Yeah, cosmic horror is definitely one of the themes of Ether, the Zine Ether, and I was talking earlier with Mildra the monk and suggested like a very cool idea about how the very idea of a collective, alien collective in particular, basically it boils down to the loss of identity of a person. So it's not just the existential dread of an alien hive mind spreading across the galaxy, it's that, and we're gonna die. No, we're not just gonna die, we will lose what makes us who we are. And yeah, it's deep stuff. And
yeah, and I love it. I love the cosmic horror. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, I think that was the best section for me, was the space one.
Interesting. Your character almost died in this one. Definitely almost lost a hand. In one timeline, I suppose he lost a hand, but definitely he faced death and other weirder circumstances. Let's talk a little bit about Diego del Toro. What was the inspiration behind? What was the initial story that you had in mind and how it really played out?
So, as you know, Diego was a football coach, soccer coach for all you Americans. Because I love football, it's something I know about. I'm very, very, very passionate about. Right up there with playing TTRPGs. I love the game, and I wanted to play. So I had a concept for the meta power. It all came from the meta power. So it was telekinesis, move things with his mind, and the story, if you've watched our campaign on my YouTube channel, is that he had an accident playing football, hit his head, banged heads with someone, and went into a coma. And that's how he got his power. When he came out of the coma, he could move things with his mind. So being a football coach, he cheated, and he won games by cheating. And the whole world was going crazy for him. And he decided to just retire from football because he loves the game and he hated the fact that he had cheated. And his whole story from then on was kind of a redemption arc kind of story. It was all about him understanding the meta power, and he was, what's the word for that? He was he didn't want to have the power. He was concealing it. What was the word?
The regression suppressant.
His regression
Yeah.
was suppression. So the whole time I'm playing this campaign, 10 sessions, and trying not to use my meta power, or trying to think of reasons to justify having to use my meta power. So he reluctantly had this power, didn't want it. And I thought it was a very fun concept to play, somebody who doesn't want his superpowers. And it was really great. I really loved it. It was one of my best characters I've ever done.
Oh, wow. I think that was the most interesting part about Diego, the fact that he didn't want to use his meta powers, and kinda he didn't activate them like at all an entire 10 session, maybe now the beginning, the end, and a few like a flickering of hair or something just for the roleplay, but no real activation. And I think it must have been tempting to use the actual, cool stuff of the game.
Very tempting because it's the cool stuff of the game, like you say. But I was stuck with the story. I had the story and I was going with it. And his regression was the suppression, and I had a great time role playing that. It was. I don't think I've ever done someone who was reluctant reluctantly in their position before, so a reluctant hero or a reluctant investigator. This was an
it's quite a
interesting one. It was a
unique.
first for me. I
Yeah,
really
it's
enjoyed it.
yeah. First for me also kind of like I've never seen them played as such, and so you mentioned like so what's like opening the character sheet and running meta powers and activating them, and let's talk a little bit about the VTT system that we have played on Foundry VTT.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because I think I'm racking my memory and nothing else comes to me. I think it's the best virtual tabletop module that I've ever played on. And you know, we John, I play 3, 4, 5 times a week. I played 190 times last year. 95% of those are online and using a VTT. And that was just last year, 190 sessions. Maybe 10, 15 are in real life. The rest are online. So I'm using VTTs 3, 4, 5 times a week. And I think that the module for Metanthropes that we used is the best VTT module that I've ever used. Not only is it very intuitive, the character sheet integrates well with the Foundry system, but it was the little touches, your animated backgrounds, the sounds, your turn next animation on the screen. It was the animations, it was the little touches that just made it like the nicest VTT module that I've ever played on, I think. Yeah, I'm confidently saying it. It's the nicest VTT module I've ever played on, and I've played hundreds of them.
I think even if this testimonial talk was sponsored, I wouldn't have had enough money to pay you to say something like that. So obviously, very high praise, and I thank you for that. Wow. So yeah, obviously you've played a lot, and right now Metanthropes and when you played it has also improved and progressed since you played it, and now we are like still in our infancy in a way, maybe like early teenage years. So it really excites us that someone like with your experience and expertise gives it such a praise. But let's move on to the next subject. So you said like your favorite NPC was the Aether, so like Samsil. So I suppose your favorite world of the three was also
Was the Aether, yeah.
Yeah. Which side NPC out of all of the stories did you also enjoy? Which these characters may or not be included in the Zines in the way that these True Cancer Masters will be.
I forget her name, but the little girl who's telepathic.
Oh yeah, like one of the conductors. Okay, this is one of the big NPCs. So Stiruvat is your favorite. Maybe you're the first one who give me a favorite slot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her. I can't think of any lesser characters, really, just the major ones.
I'm not really sure.
My favorite
characters. Yeah.
My favorite characters were Hawk and Tina and Aurora. That was my favorite characters.
That's true. We're going to talk about the coalition that you ended up working with as Diego del Toro, and so as I've played it like a couple of times already, unfortunately not much more, but we will pretty soon with hopefully many new players as well. I noticed that not just the order that you play things and the resolutions of each scene, but the characters and their actions, all decisions greatly impact how things are turned out. So whereas in yours, theoretically you let the now that's a little bit of spoiler territory for those that are interested in this, but then again, it's not like one pre-made story that if I tell you what happens, it's over. Because what I'm trying to say is completely different each time you play it. And just to see your reaction, for the other group that you was off camera, you can see the whole series on our Kickstarter page. Scroll down and you can find an actual play. And so the thing is that they went the first order that you did. So Nether first. Instead of actually allowing the magistrate to escape, as kind of you did by the end of going to the end of time, they didn't actually enter the very first portal of Nether. Okay, and they stayed and found out like one of the devices in the library was one that was shutting down the conductors from watching this timeline, and they the Ruvat intervened really and saved them the last moment while the Magister was activating loop, turning back time. It was like they defeated him in a totally different way, like defeated again.
Very different.
Yeah. Whereas in the next one they played the science fiction. No, it was that was your order. So if the first one attempt that they had, yeah, there was a party TKP involved that they didn't mention. The first time that they played was in Nether, and they got completely wiped. And since this was a session with friends off camera, had no problem really going exactly with the rules, and just the three monsters really nuked them, the three alien, friendly mushroom aliens. So it ended up like they completely covered the Samsiel, and Samsiel lost in this timeline, so it wasn't the third act. Whereas in the third, where they chose again to conclude much as like with you with Astral, well, the end was pretty crazy, and I'm not gonna super spoil everything because it like affects. I actually play tested and tested the world building with them, so to see where we can go later, much down the line. So, what are you fascinated about with the setting and world building of Metanthropes?
First of all, I'm proud of you for the TPK. It's got to be done.
More.
How can it be your game? Can't be your game until you've TPK'd someone. It's like
it's the second time. It's the second time in Metanthropes, so it's all good. Shout out to all my TPK players. Nice. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So what am I excited for with Metanthropes? I'm excited for to see what other people can do with it, to see what scenarios other people will come up with. I want to see this is my Metanthropes scenario, this is the setting, and I want to play Metanthropes again, and I want to play it with different characters in a new totally new scenario. And I would like, hopefully, for Metanthropes to become popular and for it to have a community of people who write scenarios, much like we get with the Miskatonic repository on Call of Cthulhu and the DM's Guild on Dungeons and Dragons. You get lots of people writing their own scenarios and publish them. I'd love to see that for Metanthropes, because it's such a broad setting. It's not medieval Europe in the 1300s. It's not feudal Japan. It's everything. It's absolutely everything. So you could be Metanthropes in any timeline, in any part of the world. You could play an ancient Rome Metanthropes campaign. You could be Roman legionnaires, but Metanthropes. You could play like me, a sports person. You could be a basketball player. You could be anything. You could be it's anything. There's so much. It's limitless. I think what you can do with the setting. Like there's only so much you can do in a lot of games. But with this, we've got all the genres. So we've got sci-fi, we've got fantasy, and we've got horror. You can do all of them. You're not pinned down to one of them, and then you're not pinned down to a timeline, to an area, to humans. I guess you could do all sorts of things. I'd love to see what people come up with outside of you. I'd like to see what a fresh set of eyes does with Metanthropes, because you've had Metanthropes as a vision from day one, and you've always seen it this way. Someone else might see it and think, oh, I could do this with it. And then that's what I want to see, what someone else can do with it, because it's already amazing. But I think there's so much scope with it being such a broad game with so much scope for genre and for style. I think there's a lot of space for your own scenarios, people to write a scenario. Not me, because I don't write scenarios. I'm terrible with these things. But for people to write scenarios, and if you're watching and you fancy writing a scenario for Metanthropes, hit me up and I'll play it.
I think that's the dream of every creator, to see their creation being played out by many people. As you mentioned, a community, which we are definitely building towards, but we're not in the state that you described quite yet. But we have a few people playing, a few one-shots here and there. The response for the system and all is great, but they all kind of needed a few stories, a few worlds, a few characters to chew upon. And that is the weird decision that we decided not to go with a core game, but go with stories first. And also give us all this experience that we still quite need to do the things that we want. But let's concentrate on some weird aspect, but I want to hear your thoughts, and I want to hear it publicly. Apparently, so we
Okay.
wanted to invest in not just 3D graphics and the 3D video that you mentioned and you saw on the earlier, but also I think I can put it showing without causing any music. So I'm gonna try that. If on the audience you hear like a loud thingy, please do tell, and I will close it. But as we discussed, all these 3D assets, basically, I know that there are some people out there in the community wondering why do you have them, why bother with 3D in TTRPGs. The reason, as you can see in this scene, is that we combined the 3D elements with the map and the top-down view, and we have much cool ideas with including more all of these technologies essentially in a VTT and a TTRPG in a game. So my question is, and please answer honestly, as we are still experimenting all these things. I know you are answering honestly always, but I mean, do express yourself if you find that this is something that helps your immersion or not, all those 3D high budget tech stuff, or and also tell us your style. What's your general style of preference, if you're more a theater of mind or a VTT person? And what, when it comes to the VTT, where do you think Metanthropes stand with all those new technologies?
Okay, so first you need to turn the music on that down. QP says.
Okay. So
Thank
the
you,
music
QP.
of that plays. Thank you, QP, for
Music on
helping
that,
us.
Thank you, QP. So the 3D, yeah, it's fantastic. I'm a very visual player, and when I'm playing in a game, the more visuals you have for me, the better. Basic map, great. 3D map, even better. Tokens, great. 3D tokens, even better. Just the more detail, the better. I'm a visual person. I like it to be visually stimulating. I've spoken to many people. I've done interviews with people who said that they need it to be visual. They need in their RPG to see stuff. And for me personally, the more I see, the better. My personal style as a GM when I run a game is I put as much art into the VTT as I possibly can. Maps, handouts, pictures, just like, portraits, as much as possible. And if I was an artist, I'd be doing all that in 3D. But I'm not an artist. But if I was, if I had the skills, I would do everything in 3D. Have you ever seen the virtual tabletop Tailspire? I want to learn that virtual tabletop 3D.
Yeah,
it just looks amazing. But the
it
learning
looks
curve
cool.
is the learning curve scares me on it. What you've done with Foundry though, the fact that you've got this is your 2D image of the map, but then it turns and it pans out, and this is like the 3D image that you're using. It's just a nice touch. It's beautiful. It's visually very attractive. And the fact that this is not just, this is an image of the theater and here's your map of the theater, and they don't quite match up. If you move one and tilt it, it's the same image. You've really done it well. You've really done it. Like, I don't know how to describe what I'm saying here because I'm not an artist. I don't know much about art terms, but the fact that, you've got it panning from the 3D view down to the 2D view, the fact that you can do that, it brings real depth into the space that you're playing in. So it's not just a flat map. You can feel the walls around you. You can feel the high ceiling. You can feel the highlights in it. Yeah, I think the 3D elements that you've got there that are showing bring so much to the virtual tabletop. It's fantastic. I love it. QP says it's still too loud.
Yeah, now I realize that I was decreasing the raw music to the volume to something else. Whoopsie. Again, not a professional streamer or anything. I'm just talking about my game and sharing my thoughts and ideas with my friend Oliver. So we have like those very weird ideas of how to actually implement these new technologies that are presenting day by day to the community in the world. And one of these was like these 3D cutscenes. And this is like a video game territory, essentially, when you go to anything like anything close to it. Would it you hadn't had the chance to see any of the cutscenes because none of them are really released. We just have the footage, but you play the stories, And how would it help your immersion, like seeing cinematics? Now I'm focusing not just on 3D graphics, but also like narration, maybe a little bit of voiceover, and actually, since we haven't done them yet and they're up for grabs and would like the feedback from the community, what would you like to see in a cutscene of a TTRPG, which plays between scenes, between sessions, let's figure it out.
No, I think a cutscenes would be great, actually, especially if you could put it in a place where it's near the start of the session and you're just being introduced to the first area. So in between the briefing and arriving at the first area or going on your ship or whatever, a cutscene there, a mission briefing cutscene, and then maybe later on a cutscene of someone activating his power, someone pulling his sword out as you get ready for a fight. As a fight happens, maybe a cutscene with people preparing for fights. I think cutscenes would be a great thing in an RPG, and I would love it. I would love to see a little cinematic piece in between the two maps. I think it'd be fantastic. I'm all for that.
Yeah, and
The more the better when it comes to visuals.
we've tested some stuff, and I think we think that it looks really, really cool. And we know you can. It's not like it plays for the whole screen to everybody. You can move the mouse and look a little bit to the left and right. So it's really something unique and new. But it's really something that's never been tested by not anyone that I know, at least, and I researched. And we're wondering how they will be received. And as I say, they still as they are still in development. We're pouring all the ideas from the community in. So yeah, if you're watching us and you have like some ideas or questions about those cutscenes and all the other crazy new stuff that we're attempting, we're all here. We're all about answering your questions and incorporating your ideas into this campaign, which is the next thing that I would like to talk to you about, Oliver. I think we have like this and maybe like our closing goodbye statement, something like that. With time, I mean.
Yeah, I'm good for another 15 minutes, mate. So
that's good. I think we're good with that. So in this campaign, we had this idea to incorporate official canon content from the creators, like the backers of this campaign, into the actual printed zines and the modules. So for example, so we have these 3 worlds. Each of these worlds have different options for you to create. For example, let's go with Nether that I see on the screen right now. With Nether, as your character have been through the Library of Alexandria, they've been through this whole with the many scrolls that you could click and interface and read those little inventions and theorems and scientific, profound and hidden forbidden knowledge. And one of the ideas we had, like players could write a little bit description in one of those. How do you like this idea, first of all?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love the idea of getting little pieces of canon from your community into your game. I do it with games on my channel. I have like little Easter eggs from one game carrying over into the next, and I have recurring character names and stuff like that. So
yeah, I love
if
those
you can
things.
get your community involved, the people that back the game, if you can get them involved, and they're going to feel like they've helped create it. Now with Kickstarter, with crowdfunding, things like Kickstarter, you already get a sense of that. You've helped create the thing, you've helped to make it happen. But when you open up that book and it's got your little piece of lore that you wrote in there, that's going to be so good. You're going to have a fan for life with that. That person's going to love that game for the rest of their life. It'll always be one of their favorites because of that, because they're in the game. I think it's awesome that my name's in the book because I'm a backer. Just that kind of gets me excited. So seeing a piece of lore that I wrote show up in a game, that would be amazing. I would love that, and I'm sure any of your community that have had that honor are going to be absolutely loving life. I think it's a very cool little thing to do.
We have so many ideas, and well, it's difficult to communicate them all, to find not just the time to be able to articulate everything and give them like in a cool infographic way. so that someone that scrolls down catches this information. But maybe, I will take this chance to promo a little bit more. But I think there are interesting story elements, and that's why discussing, because you've lived through those stories. So from the inventions and theorems of Nether, let's go to Astral, where you create straight dreams. So in the last act of this story, you enter, all characters enter one way or another. You will find a way to enter the astral dimension. And there, as you can see, your thoughts and reactions and your roles essentially influence the environment around you, often causing, bringing nightmares to life or causing like hazardous environments. So this lore option in this in this book in Astral will allow you to create one of those like weird descriptions of a dream. So when the narrator wants to have some extra influence of what you find around you, can go and describe like a dream written by someone else, like one of the backers.
That's cool. I like that a lot. That's a very cool idea.
And
The
as
more
for
you
the
can get your
final
backers
world,
involved with the actual game, the better, I think.
we try. We want to get the message out there. And the final world, which is your favorite, as I left it for last. So when you went to this planet, you faced a lot of crazy environments, from radioactive remnants of human technology to biohazardous acidic domain, like bubbles bursting with acid and all those beautiful flora and fauna, which is like the third lore option, which you get to describe and create your own like plants or environment, like terrain, like it's an alien planet. You can have like an ooze that's alive, and when players come inside it, it grapples them or something. So we have all those cool ideas of how to make anthologies even better, because I think this is what it comes down to, making it even better with incorporating your ideas. As for the ending, let's go with that, and then we close it. We're gonna have our final goodbye statements. So about the ending, I think every single ending of anthologies will be extremely different, and yours, I think I left it a little bit on purpose ambiguous, and what the hell happened, like the ending of Inception maybe inspired something on this note, or at least attempted. What feeling did like this ending? Was it bittersweet? But did you, what was it for you?
It was not the end that I wanted. You know it wasn't the end that I wanted. I wanted an ending where Diego loses his powers. And you did it so that you could tie me in for another game. You're planting the seed for the sequel. That's what you were doing there. And I know your game. And I like it. I like what you did. I like how you did our ending. It's you have left it very open for an Anthologies 2 for
There is,
Tina and for Diego
yeah,
and for Aurora and
definitely.
Hawk.
Tina was out there in the last episode. Shout out to Brutally Honest. And yeah, I think there is a rumor. I didn't start it. It's out there in the forums that Diego del Toro might become the next concert master and will be appointed his own timeline. And it's a timeline centered around football. It's a timeline where no meta powers are around. Who knows what sort of timeline would Diego del Toro create? So, what are your thoughts right now? Yeah, what are your thoughts about right now? And then we can sign. You can sign us off, and we can say your piece, and I will sign us off. And thank you for your time so much, Oliver.
Well, my thoughts on Metanthropes are I am honoured and proud to be a part of it, a backer, and someone who's helped you shape things, learn how the VTT works, playtester. So playtester, big fan, backer, I'm all the things. I love Metanthropes RPG. It's one of my current favourite RPGs. I love my zine, it's over there. I love my staff. It was as games go, it's quite rules light. Very easy to pick up. And although it's got that big broad spectrum of what you can do, I think it's quite easy to quantify how to turn things into roles. I think it'd be quite an easy game to write things for. Not that I will, because I don't write things for games. And just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Really fun being able to play a normal person with superpowers. It's a very easy thing to roleplay, and you'll notice with me, Martin, Chris, and Brew, we got really into the characters, and the roleplay becomes really. It was really deep and involved. I did more character story building in 10 sessions on that game than I've done in 50 sessions in other games. I felt really invested in it. It was just super fun. It was a 10 out of 10. And like I said, the virtual tabletop was the best one that I've ever played on. So it was absolutely fantastic. And we played with some great people. I had an amazing time playing Metanthropes. It's just 10 out of 10. I love it. No bad things to say about it.
Wow, even we should hire you as our marketing spokesperson. Yeah, you said it better than we ever could. Thank you so much for the high
You
praises. I'm really, really looking forward
can't
to
afford
the next session of and saga of Metanthropes that we will commence. I would like to give a special thanks and shout out to the IMT, Infinite Monkey Tales, for getting us together and getting us to know and combine our two communities. Big shout out to RxOliver. Yeah, just noticed that like our nightbots are not really working, so yeah, oops. But anyway, it's a shout out to you and your channel, which you can find all 10 episodes to see one very early alpha version of Metanthropes, but the ideas are there, they're brewing. And speaking of brewing, we have amazing, the A team, the best players I've ever played with, joining us in this first endeavor of Metanthropes. So the campaign is on for a few days more. So be sure to join us for those 3 unforgettable weeks, as tomorrow we'll unveil the whole schedule, which is everyday live streams, interviews, crazy stuff and events. I've been your host and narrator. Thank you so much, Oliver.
Thank you, John.
And
Thank you
as
to you,
always, stay legit, stay meta. Woo!